Go back, we fight on. Those still out, less than half the total, will be taken back to work by the union on Tuesday, though the Coal Board expects many to jump the gun and go back tomorrow. The strikers will be out almost a year to the day, the longest major strike since the war. They'll go back without even an amnesty for those sacked during the strike. There were 98,000 votes for an unconditional return, led by South Wales. 91,000, led by Yorkshire, were against. Mr. Scargill said the strike had been a tremendous achievement, and he said the fight would go on. He blamed the government, judges and the media, but he didn't just blame them.
The trade union movement of Britain, with a few notable exceptions, have left this union isolated. They have not carried through TUC Congress policy decisions, to their eternal shame.
For the Coal Board, Mr. Michael Eaton said those 400 or so men sacked for offences like assault and vandalism would not get their jobs back. And he said most miners would agree with that.
Colleagues and intimidate them because they want to go to work. No, I don't think we would find any disagreement at the grassroots.
Who lobbied outside the TUC gave some executive members a rough ride. They weren't to know that the executive was to recommend that the strike continue. While most accepted the strike had to end, the issue was what was to happen to the 700 miners who'd been sacked for criminal offences during the strike. It was the delegates who got an even rougher reception who actually overturned the leadership, and they heard a familiar chant. The executive tied 11-all on what to support. Mr. Scargill ruled that meant support the status quo. The conference broke to ask the executive to think again. What was it recommending? Again, the answer, soldier on, or the other, perhaps better in an organised way than by the drift back. Mr. Scargill was adamant the aims of the dispute would still be pursued, and he blamed other
men. 2,000 Kent miners will meet tomorrow to decide whether or not they'll defy today's decision. But in the area that stayed most solidly on strike, miners have already decided to return with bands and with banners flying.
In South Wales, miners gathered in their clubs to hear their president announce the return to work on television and radio.
National Union of Mine Workers shall organise a return to work on Tuesday.
Some were clearly upset by the decision.
Fury bands, composed to a large extent of striking miners, rehearsed for tonight's Coal Industry Grand Festival concert at Sheffield City Hall. Later, although most seemed jubilant about the decision, reaction was still mixed.
I'm pleased that we're going back to work, but I must point out that if it had been another way, I'd have still been on strike.
Everybody's had enough of it. Scargill, down with him.
I think our lads will never go back, because there's only 10 working at our pit, and I think none of them other lads will go back. We're on strike for us mates that have got sacked. One of our lads was killed on the picket line from South Kirby. It's gone too far to be sold downriver, and I think that's just what we've been done today, sold downriver.
Do you blame Arthur Scargill?
No, it's not been Arthur's fault, it's been the people that have worked right through this dispute, and a lack of support by the wider trade union movement.
The question, therefore, is how many hardline Yorkshire pits will see a return to work on Tuesday without an amnesty for those sacked by the Coal Board. In this heartland of the dispute, it must remain a possibility that some miners will refuse to go back. Michael Macmillan, ITN, in Yorkshire.